Hello everybody, Mark, aka The Nerdy Punk, back again today for a new video. Today, you may or may not be able to see that, but I am at the movie theater, getting ready to go in to see the new musical adaptation of West Side Story by Steven Spielberg. I promised you guys some Oscar content on the channel as I'm following the Oscars this year pretty heavily, and I'm delivering on that promise early, as I assume that West Side Story is certainly projected to get several nominations in the Oscar department, including perhaps a Best Picture nomination. So I figured I wanted to get out and see this. Back my freshman year of high school, we watched the older film adaptation from either the 50s or the 60s, when, of course, we read Romeo and Juliet in English class. And so that would have been over 10 years ago. So the last time I think I saw any West Side Story adaptation was 10 years ago. So I really don't know a whole lot about the story other than the fact that it's based, of course, on Romeo and Juliet. And I know the basic plot of like the Jets and the Sharks and all that jazz. And of course, it's a musical. So I'm not like a big musical fan, but if they're done right, I really enjoy them. And so I've heard amazing things about this. Can't wait to dive into it. I will see you guys back here in just a little while and give you my thoughts on the film.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, just left the theater from seeing West Side Story by Steven Spielberg, and I gotta say I enjoyed it quite a bit. It is certainly not my traditional like cup of tea. Like, this is certainly not a movie that was made for me necessarily, but in terms of the musical like genre, this is one of the best in recent memory, for sure. It is executed nearly perfectly. From what I could tell, like I said at the beginning of the video, I haven't seen one of the adaptations of West Side Story in probably over 10 years. So I really don't remember hardly anything about it. I think there was one made in the 1950s shortly after the original musical came out. I think that's the one that I've seen, but I'm not 100% sure. From what I could remember, this felt like a very faithful adaptation, except I could not remember the ending from the original film, and the ending on this felt different. I don't know, I could be completely wrong, and this could be the ending to the traditional musical. So if you are a big fan of the musical and one of the original adaptations, you may not be surprised at all. I was kind of surprised at the ending. And of course, this is based on a Romeo and Juliet, which I also haven't read in 10 years or seen an adaptation of in 10 years. But it's a classic story. I mean, it's of course adapted for 1950s New York City and Puerto Rican immigrants clashing with Italian American, largely, families in New York City. And it's also this there's great commentary on, you know, not just like race relations, but capitalism and kind of the shortcomings of capitalism and poverty, all kinds of social issues woven in there as well. I really felt like that spoke quite well in social commentary for the film. And I do have a couple minor issues with the film. Nothing that's gonna like destroy, you know, my overall opinion of it, because I did really enjoy it. But I'm willing to forgive a couple of my complaints with pacing, because this is an adaptation of a previously made work. And even my two like major complaints with the movie, I can kind of forgive for a couple of various reasons. So overall, the story it's a classic story. I have a couple minor issues just in terms of how the movie flows, right? It takes place over the course of a few days. And I get that the source material is the same here, right? So they're adapting from source material. I feel like with all that transpires in this story, it feels rushed for it to have happened in 2 days. And I get, you know, it's a musical, that's why I'm forgiving it, right? It's not supposed to be perfectly, like, accurate to what would happen in real life. It just feels a little rushed, in my opinion. And then there's also my other main complaint with the movie is that it's very long, and you do feel that runtime at certain points. and it felt unnecessary, in my personal opinion. Now, this is Steven Spielberg. He's made tons of movies. If this is like his pet project, go for it, dude. Like, he's made plenty of money. He doesn't need to worry about what dimwits like myself think on the internet. But this just, I don't know, it felt so natural and very true to the source material that I just felt like it was unnecessary. It did a really good job in making you feel like this was the 1950s, but again, because of that, we already have a movie from the 1950s. Like, there was nothing that made it overwhelmingly unique, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to Steven Spielberg and to 2021. Now, the one thing I will say on the opposite side of that argument is that some of the social commentary here about race, about poverty, felt so contemporary because we are dealing with these issues over and over again, it seems, in our history. Like, there's so many things that were said in this movie that I felt like are still said in 2021. And part of that is very sad. Like, there are still people who think this way. But another part of that made the film more relevant. And so I can kind of forgive my other criticism. Like I said, both main criticisms I can forgive for various reasons. Overall, do I recommend West Side Story? Absolutely. Definitely, if you get a chance to go see it. I didn't even mention the choreography. The choreography is amazing. I wasn't the hugest fan of the music, simply because it's just not my cup of tea, like I said. But it was well done. Everything was well done. Performances were great. Everything seemed to be knocked out of the park. I will not be heartbroken if it gets a Best Picture nomination. This is not my favorite movie of the year, but I could certainly understand if it's many people's favorite movie of the year. All right, West Side Story. My official grade on the film is a 4 stars out of 5. That's how it's going in a Letterboxd. So I definitely enjoyed it, recommend it, and especially if you're into musicals, if you like the story, definitely recommend getting out to a theater and checking this one out. All right, let me know your thoughts down below if you've seen the film, or are you planning on seeing the film? Are you excited for this, etc. Leave those thoughts in the comments down below. I hope you all have had an amazing weekend. See ya.